Hey guys, so since it is officially October, I figured it'd be fun to do some ghost stories because I've definitely had some experiences with, I don't know what else to call it other than it's been supernatural. Um, so I figured I'd tell some ghost stories and we can put some up here, I don't know, well, a couple times a week, depending on how many stories I have. I've got several. I don't know that I have, and I obviously don't have enough to do every day of the week for the whole month, but probably, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So this first one. Okay, so and just to add to all of this, I didn't plan it, but it is very foggy outside. I'm waiting to go into work, but I have like 30 minutes. So, anyways, it's foggy out. It's really foggy out, but not that has anything to do with anything. This first story. So this is the most recent and one that I don't want to talk about in the house just because when it comes to ghosts and the supernatural, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences over the years with it. My mom says it runs in the family. She's had experiences with ghosts or supernatural. My grandmother, several of my aunts have. I do. Several of my cousins have. It's just, I guess we have a sixth sense. I don't know. But I feel like words are a very powerful thing. You can speak good into your life and you can speak evil into your life. And I also strongly feel that if you talk about the dead, you can bring them. And I feel like if you talk about them in a place that was sacred to them, you're even more likely to have some kind of experience. So, my house that we recently moved into, and this is a story that I don't want to say in my house. Um, my grandfather passed away in our house in 2001, I believe. And he passed away in the front living room, like right where we sit at the couch. Like he was very sick. So my grandmother kind of had like an in-home hospital type thing set up, and his hospital bed was like right where our couch was, and I was there the day he died. Like I watched him die. We came over to and I was like 11. We came over to um just kind of help watch him while she had to go run groceries and stuff. My mom and I went over there, and he just got really, really sick, and he called out for her. I don't want to say really, really sick. He was already really, really sick. He was in the bed, and he couldn't move. He was immobile. This is like a whole other topic. This isn't even the story I want to talk about, but I just want to give a little bit of backstory. He was really sick. He had Parkinson's. He had fallen that morning, and they told him he needed to be in a wheelchair. He's like now wheelchair bound as of that morning. And after like he had fallen that morning, really early in the morning. They had to call the ambulance out to pick him up because my grandmother didn't have a lift to get him, and she wasn't strong enough to pick him up and get him off the floor. And they were sitting there talking with him, and was like, you'll be best to stay in a wheelchair from now on. Don't try walking anymore. And after the ambulance left, my grandmother and my grandpa were talking. My grandpa was like, I don't think I'm gonna live much longer. That day he died. Sorry to laugh, but that day he died that day. And I was there, and it was really terrifying, and he turned blue, and I ran outside because I didn't exactly watch him die. I watched most of it pretty much. My mom was in there like asking my grandma about calling 911, and my grandma was like, no, he said that if this happens again, because he'd had several like heart problems, like heart attacks, and gone to the hospital several times for heart attacks. He said that if it happens again, don't call 911. Let me go. I'm ready. So my grandma wouldn't let my mom call 911, and I was outside on the back porch, like freaking out and sobbing. And, oh man, it was terrifying. So yeah, my grandfather passed away in the house, in the living room, right where my couch is. So, and I've always had a strong sense of feeling from him. I've always been aware of him being there. Just his spirit, and it can be comforting, but it's not something I like to feel. I don't like to feel spirits. Like I can go into places and I'll get a vibe or a feeling. Sometimes I'll get images or an idea of like, okay, this was a man, or this is a woman, or this was a child. Um, and I just I don't like it. I grew up Christian, and we're going to a Christian church and all that other stuff, and you're not supposed to communicate with the dead. That's just how I grew up. So just the fact that these things happen, I don't go looking for them. I don't ask for them to happen. I don't play with Ouija boards trying to make them happen. They just happen, and I feel them. So after my grandfather passed away, my grandmother, and this is not the grandmother who always had senses or feelings of the dead being around. That was on my mom's side of the family. This is my dad's mother, who she never really had these kind of experiences until my grandpa passed away. And there was a radio in the living room that would just turn on at random times in the night, just turn on for no reason. My grandmother would wake up, come in, unplug it. You know, the first time it happened, she's like, oh, that's weird, whatever, unplugged it, left it unplugged. The next night, it happened again, and it was plugged in. Somebody plugged it in. I'm guessing Grandpa. And it just turned on. And that happened for a month or so, and she said it was almost on a nightly basis. The thing would just turn on. And then the other thing was screws. She would find, not screws, nails. She would find random nails everywhere. Like, just one in the middle of the living room floor, just sitting on the kitchen table, just random nails everywhere. And she just always kind of took it as Grandpa saying, I'm still here. So my ghost story, that was kind of hers. My story is when my mom and I were starting to clear out some of my grandmother's things. Some of you who may not know, if you're just tuning in, she recently had to go into the nursing home, and my husband and I inherited the house. So, well, we don't officially inherit it until she passes away, but we pretty much already have, because we're living there. It was set empty. So we went ahead and moved in, and we had to clear out all of her stuff. My grandmother was a bit of a hoarder. I've gotten into that in other videos. And the first few days of being there, the first day of being there, my mom and I went to clean out the refrigerator. This was before she got orders to go into the nursing home, but we knew she was going to be going into rehabilitation at the very least for like 60 days. So at least that's what the insurance said. So we decided to go clean out the refrigerator so like food wouldn't go bad and stuff. And so we just went to go get the perishables. And at the time, there was a door that went onto the back porch, which we've taken that down. Random child. We've taken that down. That's not there anymore. But it was there at the time. And it had a glass pane on it. And my mom walked into the kitchen, turned around and looked. And she came right back in, and she goes, oh my God, I think there's like a guy on the back porch. And we both go in and look, and like, there's nobody there. There's nobody on the back porch. And if somebody had been on the back porch and like opened the door and left like out the back door, like we would have heard it. And there was nothing. So my mom just kind of chalked it up to be my grandpa. She was like, I think that might have been your grandpa that I saw. Of course, I didn't see it. That was her. But I was freaked out after that. I was like, let's just get her stuff and go. Like, I don't want to hang out here. And of course, when my grandmother went into the nursing home, like, she'd gotten really, really, really sick, and my parents had to call 911. They just happened to, like, come over that day, and she was sitting in the chair, and she was just not good, so they called 911. 911 came out and got her, and she'd been in the hospital for, like, a couple of weeks, and she was getting ready to go into rehabilitation, or at this point, she might have already been in rehab. I'm not really for sure on that. So I think just all the excitement of whatever happened with my grandmother and the ambulance coming in and getting her, I think it kind of just woke up my grandfather's spirit. That's not to say that I've never felt him there before, but I hadn't really felt him there in a long time. And I think it just, all the happenings just kind of got him there. I don't know, wanting to know what's going on with my grandmother maybe. And then I started finding random screws everywhere. Like, at first I kind of brushed the whole thing off with my mom, and I was like, well, maybe she's seeing things. It's a little bit spooky in the house and nobody being there. And with my grandfather had died in the house, we both were just a little bit jumpy with it. But we decided, okay, you know, maybe she's just seeing things. I don't know. I never want to jump to the conclusion of this is a ghost. But after that, I started finding random screws, just random places, like one on my front porch, one on my living room coffee table, one on the stairs in the basement, and the one in the basement stairs kind of freaked me out because I'd been down there earlier that day. And, like, it was a big screw. It was a big white screw against my blue basement steps. It's something you're not going to miss. And I've been down there earlier that day. No screws on my stairs. And then I go back down there later in the day, and I had been the only one going down there, and there's a screw on my step. And finally I was talking to my mom. She came over, and I was telling her about it, and I was like, you know, I'm just tired of finding these screws everywhere. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because something happened in between all of this. But with the screws, what is this? I got like a curly cue going on. But I was like, you know, I'm getting tired of finding all these screws. And my grandma was like, oh, you know what happened with your grandmother and finding nails? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And my mom was like, well, maybe you just need to tell Grandpa that Grandma's okay. She's in rehabilitation. You and Mike are moving in. Everything's going to be okay. And after Mom said that out loud, like, I haven't had a single experience since then. Nothing's happened, no experiences. Now, before she made that comment about the nails in the house, like, kind of talking to him, I was out in the garage. Mom and I both were in the garage, and the garage was kind of like Grandpa's sacred place. Like, he just spent a lot of time tinkering in his garage. And we were out there cleaning stuff out. And out of nowhere, like, the door just flew open, just wham, flew, and it wasn't windy out. There's like no reason for it to just fly open like that, but it literally just flew open. And we were joking around like, oh, hi, Grandpa, you know, whatever. Just kind of joking at this point. At this point, we're kind of like, that's kind of weird. Maybe that was the wind, but that was kind of weird. And we just went about our business, whatever it was we were looking for in the garage. I don't remember. And then Mom goes to leave the garage, and I'm walking across the garage. I was on the other side to come out. And I get to the door, and I start hearing footsteps in the garage. And I swear they were my grandfather's footsteps. He wore orthopedic shoes. There's like these big, heavy black shoes with Velcro top of them. And I would just recognize the sound of those shoes anywhere. And it sounded like somebody was walking by the front door of the garage. And I could see my mom. My mom was up by the stairs. We were the only ones in the backyard around the garage. And I'm standing still, so it's not mine. And I'm hearing footsteps across the garage. And I was like, oh, that is weird. That is so weird that the door just flew open like Grandpa walked in or something. And now I'm hearing his footsteps. So, and then of course everything happened with the screws. And I told my mom, and my mom came into the house and was like, you know, Grandma's fine. She's at the nursing home. And like I said, I haven't had any experiences since then. Nothing's been going on. Nothing freaky like that. No more screws, no more footsteps, no more like shadows. Sorry, getting the burps. Talking too fast. Because I gotta go into work. But yeah, that's my most recent like ghost story, I guess. And I almost don't even call them ghost stories anymore because I don't really get freaked out by these things anymore. They're just more like an annoyance just because I don't want them to happen. I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable with this. Go away. Even though it was my grandpa and I loved him so much, and I was very close to my grandpa. Like, he's dead, he's gone. That's how it needs to stay. He doesn't need to go back and say hello. We don't need to hang out. You know, go to heaven and don't come back here because that just really freaks me out. But like I said, these kind of experiences happen quite often to me. It's not like uncommon. So I will definitely have some more stories coming if you guys are interested. And I've got one that's really, really good. Well, I got a couple, but you'll have to stay tuned to hear those ones. So let me know if you guys have ever had any supernatural experiences, any scary things, freaky things happen. Leave them in the comments below. I love hearing other people's ghost stories. It makes me know that I'm not completely insane. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.